Alright, so now we're looking at fossil fuels. I guess the main question to think about firstly is what is a fossil fuel and what is the significance to it? When we talked about energy, we sort of take it for granted of, well, we've just got it. It's in our PowerPoints, it comes from the sun, etc. But where does it actually come from? In order to do anything, we need energy. So that's the same as we eat food for our bodies to do things, to play sport, to go run around, to talk, etc. We use food as our energy. When people did everything by hand or used animals or slaves, food was the most important resource. We didn't have electricity. All we needed was food to feed ourselves and feed the animals that we used. Today we're a lot more sophisticated and technologically advanced, so we use much more energy in the past, and almost all of it comes from other resources than food. For example, you can see below, this is the Tavantogi coal mine. This is a huge coal mine where we're harvesting coal, and coal is a fossil fuel. So this is the important part. A fossil fuel is a non-renewable resource. I've got that in bold and it's red, so make sure that you write that down in your book. They take millions of years to form, so it would take that long to replace any that you take from the ground. So this is why we say it's non-renewable. Remember, the definition of renewable resource was something that is replaced within your lifetime. Fossil fuels take millions of years, so they're definitely not renewable. We often get energy from a resource in nature and change it to another form that's more useful to us. For example, we take the energy from coal and we convert it into electricity. So we're not actually using the coal itself necessarily to generate the energy, but it is a byproduct of it. So we burn it to generate the energy, or the electricity in this case. So the original resource in this thing is the primary energy resource. That is the coal. So the coal is the primary energy resource. Today, most of our energy comes from coal, oil, and natural gas. They're the three biggest ones. And these are all fossil fuels. There are three types of fossil fuels. There is coal, oil, and natural gas. These are all formed from organisms that lived millions of years ago, and this video will explain how oil and gas are actually formed.
Go back about 200 million years in time. Ancient seas cover almost the entire globe. The continents as we know them today do not yet exist. The prehistoric underwater world is teeming with organic life forms, bacteria, algae, and microorganisms. When they die, they sink to the seabed. There they mix with other sediments. Since there is no oxygen, there is no decomposition process. The so-called bedrock of crude oil is formed. Over time, other rock layers form on top of the bedrock. These weigh down on the bedrock, pressing it together. The pressure generates heat. At temperatures of 60 to 120 degrees Celsius, crude oil is formed. If the temperature rises to over 150 degrees, natural gas is also formed.
So that gives you a bit of an insight into the oil and the natural gas, how they're compressed under the earth over a very, very long period of time. So from this slide, it's really important that you know the three types of fossil fuel, the coal, oil, and natural gas. And you know that a fossil fuel is a natural resource. It's non-renewable because it takes millions of years, but it is still naturally found. Coal formed in the same sort of way as the oil and gas did, by being compressed under a lot of heat, but in this case it comes from woody plants that grew in swampy ground. Sometimes fossilized remains of plants are actually found in coal, as in the example on the right, which was found in a coal mine in Morocco. In this piece of coal here, you can see the fossilized leaves. So this shows that this was once made up of some sort of leaf matter from a plant, and it's been since condensed and compressed and converted into coal over a very long time. Here is a bit of a timeline. So hundreds of millions of years ago, plants thrived in swampy ground. As they died, they were covered in water and mud so that they didn't rot. The dead plant material would build up and create a thin layer of plant material. The sea level then rose and the silt covered the dead matter. So kind of like a very sandy, thin layer of soil filled over the top of all the dead matter. Millions and millions of years later, soil built up over the top, added more and more layers, built up the pressure. And then this huge extra pressure of all the soil on top and the heat pushing down on it turned the matter into coal. So heat and pressure of dead plant product gets compressed, and over millions of years it starts to convert into this coal substance. This process is important. You need to know how that works, and you need to be able to explain that. So I would recommend writing these dot points down in your book, the step by step. So starting with plants thrive in swampy ground, they died, the material built up, the sea level rose and the silt covered them, millions of years the layers built up, and heat and pressure then converted them into coal. Done. From here, have a look at the quizzes section on fossil fuels. As usual, take a screenshot of your score and upload it.